My name is Jeff Jeffers. If you remember my first name, you'll remember my last. I'm not important, though, in this story. This story is to try to help you to see things that are coming that you can't see. We live in a world we really don't understand, and that became very clear to me 22 years ago when this near-death experience hit me. I was very much grounded in reason, logic, and common sense. I have an attitude and a position in work that's analytical, technical, and scientific, kind of an engineering mind, per se. And that's pretty much been me all my life. But then the natural world got invaded by the spirit world. And that day, now, 2 weeks before this near-death experience that I had, I went to visit my closest friend of all time who was dying of cancer. And when I got there, I felt like I was being told, compare your life to his and see what the difference is. And I did. He was a very intelligent man, had an extremely high IQ, like 160. And I was just your average Joe, and he and I palled around together in my teenage years, but after our family moved away, far away, I hadn't seen him in 35 years, and now I'm coming back to see him again before he passes. Well, I get there, and I have this overwhelming sense that I'm in more trouble than him. And that panned out to be true. I didn't know it. I couldn't process it. I couldn't even understand what in the world it was that was coming at me. But I knew there was danger ahead. And so I just kept my eyes open, looking for any signs or indications that something was coming. But I had no idea what was ahead. We all look into that undeterminable future day in and day out, and we wonder what's coming up. Well, when something happens and you have a premonition about it, take it seriously. Take it very seriously, because you don't know what's ahead. Well, I was standing in my office. It was November the 13th of 2003, 9:30 in the morning, and I was standing there by my desk, and all of a sudden I'm having a full-blown heart attack, like a 300-pound man sitting on my chest shoving a dagger in my heart. And I am just in severe pain, and I'm looking around everywhere, and there's not a soul in the office. I'm looking, and it doesn't make sense to me, but here I am. I've got this pain that's excruciating, and my life is flashing before me, decades in seconds. And I'm noticing something unusual about it. Now, at the same time, I have this evil presence that's like over me. I could feel it, and I had this sense that it was there, and I didn't know what to do, but I just kept getting this condemnation and condemnation and condemnation over and over again. And so here I was, trying to make sense out of it all, and all of a sudden it hit me that what I was seeing in the events as they were passing by so quickly, they weren't life events, they were my sins. And the greater the sin, the greater the pain. And I was, as this was getting more and more the case, I noticed that the pain just getting worse and worse with each event as it came and showed up itself. It's as though all these sins were being paraded by for the shock value that it was causing. And the pain was getting so much, I thought for sure I was going to die. And I reached over as this pain ran up and down my left arm, and I grabbed my arm. And just before I felt like I was going to pass out for the very last time, I said, God, help me. And the most amazing thing happened. It is just mind-boggling what happened. The pain shut off like a switch shuts off on the wall. turns the light off, and all of a sudden, I don't have this pain. And I feel this presence moving away, and something coming from over here comes towards me, and I can feel it. I can't see it, but I can feel it. And all of a sudden, I've got this warmth poured over me from head to toe. And it came with perfect peace, a peace I hadn't known since I was 4 years old. That's what happened. And I was spared that day 22 years ago. Now, I have done considerable studies to understand this event, and I have come up with some very startling and interesting conclusions. The Bible really speaks about what's going on in our lives, and a lot of times we can't understand that. But let me tell you what I found. As I'm really digging through here and trying to understand it year after year, it really didn't make a lot of sense. But recently, all of a sudden, I had this information given to me. It's like when you see it, you connect the dots between what happened and why it happened. And I noticed something as I was reading in the Bible. I was reading through the Old Testament, going through from beginning to end, and I've done that a number of times, but this particular time I had noticed that I came to Joel 2:32, and it says, "Whoever calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved." And I said, wow, that's that event that happened those many years ago when I said, "God help me." And here I'm seeing it in the Bible. As I'm reading through, I'm seeing it again in Acts 2:21. And further, I see it a third time in Romans 10:13. "Whoever calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved." As I really studied this and dug into it deeper, I realized that this is a promise for everyone that calls on the name of the Lord, that they shall be saved. It doesn't make any difference the situation that you're in. When you're in desperate need, in desperate position where you don't have any other options, you want help. And I called out to God, and He helped me. He actually directed me to find out about His Son, Jesus. Jesus is the whole aspect of what the New Testament is about. It speaks about Jesus healing people. It speaks about Jesus doing all these different things. There's been other types of near-death experiences that's communicated the message that when somebody called out to Jesus, they were saved, but they didn't understand why. You see, there's a promise in the Bible, and the promise is, whoever calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved. But there's also a connection there that says in John 3:16 that for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever would believe in Him should not perish but have eternal life. That was what God wanted to show me, who Jesus was, and He did. I came to know Jesus personally in ways I can't really explain. It takes a whole lot longer to discover and teach you those types of things that are going on. But I wanted you to know that there are so many people around the world right this very moment ready to have a heart attack, or is dying, or is in a situation where they cannot get out of it. But if you call upon the Lord, He will do something to help you, because that is His promise in the Bible. Whoever calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved. What format and what method He uses, I can't imagine. But God does things that are miraculous, and He does them every single day for those people that can see it. But most can't, because they've got their minds closed to it. The world is a very vast and complex place. And if you see it only in the natural realm, you're missing a big part of it. I didn't understand anything about the spirit realm until I was 52 years old. It was a very long time for me to come to that realization. But these last 22 years, I've seen miracle upon miracle. And I know that God is real. I know Jesus is real. You can take this to the bank, that whoever calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved in one fashion or another. God bless, and I hope this helps you. Tell this to your friends that may be having heart trouble, that they have the possibility of a heart attack. God can do miracles if you only ask. He's there waiting for you to say something. God bless.